to that now, but at the beginning we solved stuff that looked like this. We would solve that. Okay? How is this different than this?
It's not.
This
Sorry.
this has a mix of trig functions. Everything we did before was all the same trig function. Okay? But now we're mixing other trig functions into the quadratic equation. So you can't have multiple trig functions. Because how do you solve quadratic? You have to factor it. To factor it, they all have to be the same trig function. So you're going to have to make a substitution. Okay? So 2 cos squared plus 3 sine x. The only thing I can sub out is this cos squared. What am I going to do? Is it a double angle identity? Let's start with that. You don't want to use a double angle identity because it's just x and x. If this was a 2x, you'll see one in the next one. Then you can use a double angle. Okay? But because they're both x's, you can't use the double angle. So what's the only thing you can rewrite cos squared as a sine function? How do you do that? You're going to use that identity because I've got cos squared. So how do I write cos squared as a sine function? It's going to be 1 minus sine squared x, right? That's your substitution. So I get 2, please bracket everything, times, instead of writing cosine, I write 1, I'm going to write cosine again. Sine squared x plus 3 sine x equals 0. Now what do I do? Now it's just algebra. No. You got to get rid of the brackets. You got to dump the 2 in. So I get 2 minus 2 sine squared x okay? So now it's all sines, which is good. It's a quadratic. How do you solve quadratics? What? Oh, you want to do, okay, so let's manipulate it first because I don't want this negative 2 sine squared. That's kind of ugly. So I'm going to move everything to the other side or multiply through by 1, negative 1, sorry, because I want to flip all the signs. I want this to be positive 2, okay? So I'm going to get 0 is equal to okay, so I have that. And then you want to sub out the trig functions? No. It doesn't matter how you do it. I don't care. I'm not going to factor it. I'm just going to give you the factored form. I expect that you know how to factor now. People are looking at me like. Look, you can do a sub if you want. So you'll get this. If you want to substitute it. That makes sense? All right, so when you factor it, this is what it turns into. Turns into that. And then, of course, your A's are what do we do from here? Make each one equal to 0. So you get sine of x is equal to negative a half. or sine of x is equal to 2. Which one can you turf? Throw out. Sine x equals 2, right? Because if you look at the sine graph, does it ever hit 2? So don't worry about that one. So you just have to solve the other one. Where is sine negative? Third and fourth. Have I done this right? Is it plus 1? 2 sine x. Negative 4 sine x plus sine x. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. All right. So what is sine x negative in the third and fourth quadrant? Your reference angle is 30. So x is equal to 210 and 330. Wow. I think they want us to do it in rads, don't they? Yeah.
No.
Well, they're on the board. How do you convert to rads? You can, okay, yes, you can look at the chart. So let's do the chart method first. What is 210? How many 30-degree angles go into 210? 7, and 30 is pi over 6. 7 pi over 6, and 330 is 11 pi over 6. If you don't like that method, yeah, you can multiply those by pi over 180, and you'll get the decimal equivalence. Which is 3.66 or 5.76. There you go. There's the decimal answers. I don't care which ones you give me. All right. Is that okay? The only difference here is that first step, you need to sub out the cos squared because you have to have all the trig functions being the same. All right, we're not doing B. We're going to do C. Or sorry, the next one, 2. 4 minus 7 sine x equals cosine 2x. What jumps out at you right away? This double angle of cosine. So you got to make them all x's. I don't want 2 x's in there. I want and x's, and we got different trig functions. Now, cosine has 3 choices. Which choice makes sense? Yes, the 1 minus 2 sine squared. Well, then you're going to have to do another substitution. Well, you'd sub, and then you'd do another sub. You make your life more complicated. You could. Right? That's the one we want to use. Because then it'll give us all signs in the equation. So if I sub that in for cos 2x, I get 4 minus 7 sine x is equal to 1 minus 2 sine squared x. And now it's just a quadratic. What do we do with quadratics? Move everything to one side. So I get 4 minus 1 is 3. You need to know how to factor for the test, people. You need to know how to factor if you're taking calculus. You just need to know how to factor. All right? So that factors to that. No, because I'm just moving the sign squared, right? It doesn't, who am I talking? Sorry. It doesn't combine with anything, right? These don't combine because that's a squared, not just a sign.
I just thought you did the 4 minus 7. No, I see now.
Okay. All right. So I get sine of x is equal to 3. or sine of x is equal to a half. Which one can I turf? Get out. Ignore. Yes. Forget that one. Sine x equals a half. It's basically the one we did right above it. Except we're positive, so we're in the first and the second. Sine to the minus 1 of a half, same reference angle, it's 30. So I get 30 and 150. They want the general solution. What do you do for general solution?
Add period.
What's the period of a sine graph?
360.
You don't have to write the NEI, but if you do, that's great. How is that? It's the exact same stuff we did right at the beginning of the chapter. The only thing is you need to make all the trig functions the same. That's it. Okay. One other thing I just want to point out. Can I move to the second page?
Yeah. -6, yeah. Wait, that's not what. That is exactly what he just didn't write it before. Oh.
What did I do?
I'm explaining to him how to factor.
Oh.
It just messed me up. Okay, that makes sense. But he just like factored it first.
Okay. Everybody go to second page, top right.
Okay. So it's just a regular way of factoring.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So I can give you this question. Sine 2x is equal to cosine of x. As soon as you see that, you need to get rid of the sine 2x. I don't want the double angle. I want all x's. This is x. Okay? The only substitution you can make for sine 2x double angle is 2 sine x cos x. Everybody agree with that? That's right off your sheet. Now, they did this on purpose because they're trying to show what not to do. Do not do this. Oh, it's the cos and the cos. I'm just going to divide each side by cosine. So then that cancels and that cancels. So I end up with 2 sine x is equal to 1.
That's just quick.
Yeah.
No. Watch. What if you do this? What if you have this? If I have that. Okay. And I went, well, those are x. Hang on. Those are x's. So I just go, well, I'll just divide by x. And then I get x is equal to 1. Right? Is that correct?
Yeah. X cannot equal.
No.
What's wrong with this? This is not a complete answer.
Oh wait.
What's a 0?
Because what you have to do is you have to move that x over, because it's a quadratic, factor out an x, and then you get x is equal to 0 and 1.
So
You cannot.
was not complete.
It was not complete, exactly. And this answer will give you one of them, but it won't give you everything. You cannot divide off a function and make it disappear. All right? You can divide numbers, but you cannot divide a function or a variable. Well, in this case, it's going to be function. We're doing trig.
Come on, guys.
You cannot make a trig function disappear. Okay? Because you will miss the answers. So what you have to do for this one, so we'll do it right below, is this step right here. What you do is you move everything to one side, like that. And then how do I solve this? What am I going to do? Factor out a? Okay, so then you get cos x equals 0, or I'll just write sine x equal to a half. So this one we had before when we canceled the cosines, but this is the one that shows up. Do not divide off and make a function disappear. You will miss answers. Okay? Want me to say that again? Because I guarantee you're going to have a question like this on your test. Do not divide off a function and make it disappear. You can divide numbers off and they can go away. Do not divide functions off. All right? Okay. Here's your questions. And the unit is over once you've done these questions. I know. Number 1.
Yeah.
Number 3. And number 5, pick 2. That is it. Unit fini.